Keep wanting just to see you show up at my door. Et même quand je suis froide, un peu différent, tu continues tout de même de montrer tes efforts. I'm trying to keep my heart in peace. I just can't think but the way that I feel. It's too hard to trust. I mess it up. I just can't risk to be falling like this. Oh, ooh. Why do you keep chasing clouds? Ooh. If I could change my mind. I said, ooh, why do you keep chasing clouds? Can't live before I feel something, ooh, before I could change my mind. I said, ooh, why do you keep chasing clouds? Can't live before I feel something, ooh, before I could change my mind. I said, ooh, why do you keep it, ooh? You make me wanna change my mind.
No more patience when I'm feeling low. On vacation, my mind wants to go. Overthinking when I'm all alone. Out of focus from all the unknown. Can you check for my vitals? Think I need revival. Broken down and fading, my heart keeps breaking.
Caught up in the storm, but all the survivors looking up below in a little bit of darkness. Hold each other up when we're falling down. Never give it up because we are the fighters. Caught up in the storm, but all the survivors looking up below in a little bit of darkness. Hold each other up when we're falling down. Never give it up because we are the fighters.
Underwater, swinging my fist. Tension rising, but no part of it. Nice to meet ya, been called a misfit. No need to fake it, we all got some shit. Can you check for my vitals? Think I need revival. Broken down and fading, my heart keeps breaking.
Caught up in the storm, but all the survivors looking up below in a little bit of darkness. Hold each other up
I'm sorry, my dear.
You think you've learned your lesson?
I guess I made a mistake. I'll remember.
I trusted you for too long. I trusted you.
I guess I made a mistake. I'll remember.
I trusted you for too long.
I'm sorry, my dear.
You got me taking it to the top, to the top.
Happy Thursday, SMITE fans. You are watching the EU SCC, but only for this morning. Normally we have a full day of SCC action, but starting from today onwards, we're doing 4 days of SPL, so we have a couple SPL matches to round out the day here on Thursday. My name is Dolson. Aggro is with me. We're talking about this matchup between the Snake Hunters and Just F6, and then we'll have a matchup of the SCC on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as well. All of those before the SPL. But Aggro, we're over here in EU. We'll see here in the standings in just a moment that as we're getting down the stretch, it's, I think, impossible at this point for Just F6 to make it in to that top 2 spot, but still a chance for the Snake Hunters team.
And it's a big one for the Snake Hunters because with how close this region has been and you really want to make it into that top 2, you just cannot afford to take a loss to Just F6 with where they are in the standings at this point of the season. That's not to say that Just F6 is an easy win for them. Just F6 has looked competitive against numerous teams during this phase, so it's not one that the Snake Hunters could come in and take lightly, but if they have aspirations of being in that top 2, they've got to win today.
Right, and you'd think it's got to be a pretty convincing win as well, where Just F6 have put up fights against some of those top teams, but this is your chance for the Snake Hunters team to kind of make a heat check for themselves. Just F6, though, Aggro, throughout this year, they've shown signs of life here in the EUSCC. They qualified in, they made it here for a reason. They've been in some very close sets, just haven't quite been able to make it over that finish line.
Yeah, I've been a little bit surprised at Worst Turtle joining. I mean, he has had such a long career at this level. He's done a lot of really good things on multiple pretty good teams. And I just think that he hasn't really synergized with this squad quite yet because he has not performed to the level that I would expect from a player of his caliber. And the rest of Just F6 as well hasn't really performed to that level as of late. But it's probably only a matter of time until they start putting it together because this team does have some good talent on it. I expect Worst Turtle in particular to look more and more comfortable sooner rather than later. And once that happens, then I think they're poised for an upset.
What does that tell you that, you know, this is a team that at the time of the swap was 0-3, 0-4, 0-5, something like that, and they still are looking to make those kind of marker improvements and get themselves into a position to maybe succeed in the next phase of the SCC. Does that show some resilience to you and sort of a desire to improve and compete?
Of course. I mean, this team is showing up week in and week out and trying new things and going with strategies that make sense to me, and then they just simply haven't worked out, and that's okay. You know, someone's got to win and someone's got to lose at the end of the day. It's just a matter of, you know, seeing that growth from this squad and what they've learned week to week. I'm interested in what we're going to see from them this week.
Well, the Snake Hunters team will have a slight change, at least in their matchup here today. A team 3-3, a chance to bust into that top 2 where you're looking for here in the SCC. And they found, obviously, more success than this Just F6 squad has, stumbled against some of the top teams here in this region. I think Vaporish Coast, though, has had a fantastic phase so far in the SCC. Playing around this Hunter role, going to be big for the Snake Hunters to try to find a win today.
Coast is just on his own level right now, it feels like. I mean, he is really putting on a show basically every time he loads in, and that is the win condition for the Snake Hunters, is playing around Coast and letting him kind of facilitate him. And you look at the way that these drafts are often oriented for this team. It's Ratatosker for Rapio, it's Sobek for Shoxy Foxy in these clips. And those are just setup gods in order to let whatever Coast wants to do be impactful in these games. So I'm excited to see what this team's going to do. I just get excited every time Coast is about to load in, man, because he's must-watch SMITE right now.
And Miff is casting this one as well, so maybe we get to see a pentakill from Vaporish Coast, and Miff will get to cast it. That'd be pretty exciting. Picks and bans for game number 1 between Just F6 and Snake Hunters start right now. Remember, this one very important for this Snake Hunters team to keep themselves in the running for that top 2. Just F6 trying to play upset over the last few weeks of the EU SCC here. We've seen kind of now this continued trend, right? Early on in Season 8, there was volatility maybe in how some of the picks and bans were going. Teams were figuring these types of things out on their own. Now we're starting to see that stabilize a little more. The Emoja sort of in and out of picks and bans, but definitely has her spot up there. But the Tiamat as well, Aggro. I remember at the SPL level, we were wondering if there would ever be a point where Tiamat stops getting picked banned, because Tiamat was like 0-3 or 0-4 through the first 3 or 4 games that it had played. Finally, I think, found its footing, though. Remains worthy of a first pick or ban.
Yeah, it's just one of those goddesses that takes some time to master. She's very unique in what she wants to do, and you have to be able to buy in and be an aggressive player with her. And so with all those things, managing your serpent spawns as well, it doesn't surprise me that it takes some time. This does surprise me, though, letting Athena through here for the Snake Hunters. When we're talking about what this team wants to do is facilitate and set up for Vaporish Coast, Athena kind of does that really, really well. I'm surprised they let it through.
I was surprised that it has a 43 or so % win rate. I mean, it could be a little bit higher, but more indicative maybe of the strength is the pick ban rate, which is closing in on near 100% now for this pick. On the opposite side, though, maybe first in class at both of the mid and hunter role locked in for Just F6. Scylla and Anher have been far and away the popular picks in those two roles. The ability for, I suppose, both of them to find burst damage in these fights, near second to none. But a Heimdall is not a bad consolation prize here for Vaporish Coast.
No, I think that this is still one of those premier hunters. I mean, we've seen him be forced out of the Jing Wei as teams have really tried to keep this Heim on her out of his hands, those being the top two hunters in the role right now. I still think Anher is a little bit better, and that's why we see the Just F6 squad pick him up instead of that Heim. But Heim still has that absolute carry potential. If you watch SPL last week, Cyclone Spin's performance on this god really stood out to me in what he was able to do just with the damage output through auto attacks. He's telling me that he didn't even hit that many ults that set, but still looked that good just because he was landing those autos.
Yep, Cyclone Spin starting to play a lot better, as well as the rest of the Tartarus Titans. We'll look forward to their matchups here this weekend, but sticking in picks and bans for Snake Hunters and Just F6, we're starting to round into that second wave of bans. Fenrir, Ymir both taken away, so sensing some engage needed for Just F6. Those are the ban options there for Snake Hunters, but Bacchus aggro, 2 games played, 5% pick rate, but it's won both of those 2 games. Maybe there's something secret here brewing for Just F6.
Yeah, Bacchus got a couple of buffs right before competitive started and has looked pretty good in the moments that we've seen him. Xing Chen is the pick that always stands out to me. I mean, a 71% win rate, only 7 games played, but still winning a significant amount of those games. I think Xing Chen has looked very, very good. Bacchus and Xing kind of hold similar ground. They're fairly mobile guardians that can be difficult to kill, but I think Xing Chen is far more difficult to lock down and kill, where Bacchus is bringing a little bit more in that damage department. So we'll see what Just F6 is able to do with it here.
Well, you think, you see these videos sometimes on YouTube of people drafting, like, all Dunk Squad characters, things like that. Just F6, they nearly got it here between Ratatoskr, Bacchus, Cocoa, and Anher. Only Scylla remains rooted there, so maybe Stone Agaya feels pretty good here, aggro, for Osiris there in the solo lane for Snake Hunters. What do you think of the Just F6 draft?
That's some Chair 2 brain right there, Dave, using that Stone Agaya reference.
I got it!
Yeah, I don't know, man. There's plenty of knockups, and knockups always the best CC that you can have in Smite, because you're always getting knocked up for the same duration every time, no matter how much you've been CC'd beforehand. But the Snake Hunters on the other side, I mean, they've got these tools where it's Athena taunt into Heim and raw damage, or Xing Chen setup gets the beads, Athena taunt works. There's so much beads burning, there's so much AoE damage for the Snake Hunters. Yep. I'm a little worried about that for Just F6, but if they can spread the map, I think they're going to be just fine.
Well, Snake Hunters need to look good in this one in order to keep pace with the top. Game number 1 starts right now.
That's right, and I'm excited to see it. Just F6 still looking for a win as of right now, Dave. And same thing here, Mifflin. As we move forward with the cast, this is going to be an interesting one for them as they try to find it. Whereas Coast, I mean, has been looking insane. I've got to give shout-outs to Shoxy Foxy, because so far, Mifflin, like Shoxy Foxy, granted, it's been kind of hit or miss some games, but for the most part has been a really, really good support player. And I think accompanying Rapio and none other than Pretty Prime there in the mid, this is going to be an interesting trio.
Yeah, Pretty Prime coming through for this team. That is super exciting, if that is the legitimate Prime over there. Snake Hunters, I think, have a team composition that is going to scale well come team fight phase, and Just F6 has a composition that should be bringing the fight inside the early worst turtle. Gonna get involved the second he gets that ultimate available to him. Rotwin is playing a very aggressive early game pick inside of Bacchus. Even Anher is going to be jumping in pretty consistently. I feel like Just F6 really need to be forcing the fights early to establish a lead, or they might just get outscaled come mid-game.
We'll see what they're able to do. I'm going to go and do something I probably shouldn't do, but just talk about how much I love specifically the Xing Qin pick and how it's been working. I think I'm going to have to give the credit over Inbound because he played it incredibly well on Sunday, but then also Rathan on Twitter who had thrown out why. But the damage reduction from his one, not that much early on, but if you hit someone with that shout, right, 20% of their autos is now just gone, forfeit, right? And so I think it's going to be interesting to see if it pays off. Like you said, Toddy wanting to jump in. Shoxy Foxy looking to be the one who's getting aggressive over here. I don't know how much blood we're going to get to see in this lane. And I'm wondering, where does your mind drift? Especially like with Athena over there for Rapio, it kind of feels like unless it's being driven by the supports, at least on the side of Snake Hunters, there might not be a whole lot of it.
No, yeah, Athena's going to be pretty passive. I'm thinking throughout the early game, you really need to get a lot of levels under your belt on Athena jungle before you're able to match that same level of pressure that some of these other junglers have. Maybe once she gets that Defender of Olympus online and available, she can get involved that way, but it's going to have to land because it's the majority of Athena's damage inside the early. I'm just waiting, just biding my time right now, Gore, waiting for that explosion point around level 5. I'm expecting Worst Turtle to be the first one to make a rotation as Vaporish Coast finds the kill in the tower. I wasn't expecting it, Gore. I'd have given it back to you for the first blood, but I was never given a chance.
I mean, I am on the same boat. I'm kind of flabbergasted. That just kind of felt like it came out of nowhere. The big burst damage from the sword collapsing in. Now Kha'Zix maybe in a little bit of danger, I should say, but not too worried about his own life over there in the solo lane. Also, worth noting, Kha'Zix skipped a starter item, maybe something we can go back to, but over here in the duo lane, that kill onto Rotwin. A little bit of experience picked up for Coast. Feels pretty solid. It's going to be instead Rotwin who goes in, looks for the burp, stun onto Coast is good. And like Aggro had said, a couple of buffs made it a little easier to find that stun on the burp, have to have the full drunkometer, but it doesn't seem like it's going to go anywhere here. So Just F6, who we kind of expected to be the team leading, at least over here in the duo lane, is the first ones to fall.
Yeah, that Gallarhorn to immune the knockup from Bacchus is really changing how this game is played, with Snake Hunters having already established their lead over here. Every time Rotwin jumps in, he's going to lose out on more of his HP bar, but undeterred, First Blood, not enough to stop this man, looking to steal a purple or at least just be annoying.
He's hanging out for sure, right? And I think that's the best you can do when you're like, if you fall behind and you're playing something like Botix. That's what I like to see, right? Proactive, like, I'm just going to be a nuisance. I don't care if I get it. I'm wasting your time, and that's really what matters here for them. As Rotwin, like you said, going to have some difficulty, at least engaging on the Coast. He's not had any issues going forward. That level 5 mark was what you were looking for, though. Worst Turtle just ticked over to it. Defender of Olympus online as well. So rotations from the junglers has been enabled. But you had mentioned Worst Turtle being a lot stronger around that level 5 mark. Do you expect to see him go up in the air, maybe put some pressure on a Pretty Prime here, or where does he go to really find the most bang for his buck?
Yeah, if Snake Hunters keep playing on the legitimate tower line over here, that's going to be one good spot for Worst Turtle to start to get involved. Already has the Acorn finished as well, so he should be looking to get proactive pretty soon. If anything, sure, you could look for the Pretty Prime in mid, just have it set up with I'm a Monster, but I really think, if anything, they need a bailout, just F6 that is, inside the duo lane.
Look, I'm going to tell you this. If you're backing and in the middle of the lane like that, that is confidence more than anything.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it is something that you know. Not only is Toddy not going to be able to jump in, but Rotwin's not around. Like, it is comfortable for Snake Hunters. In the duo lane as of right now, and like you said, they've been playing up on the tower line the entire time. Ult's online for Shoxy, but not yet for Rotwin. So maybe another big rotationary power that is online for the Snake Hunters. The Scorpions are going to be coming up in just a few seconds, about 20 away. And I'm wondering, you know, Ra, especially because we talk about this, I like to talk about it a lot. Mid laners, their ultimates, I hyper-focus in on it sometimes, maybe too much. But Sodos is going to have good confirm. Pretty Prime's going to have good confirm, maybe on a much lesser cooldown with just the kind of nature of Ra's kit. Do you think that that's going to allow not just the Scorpions, but the Furies afterward, things like that, to go a little more easily to Snake Hunters? Or do they still need to be worried about the contention from Just F6?
Snake Hunters have the range advantage, just about the only advantage as far as confirm goes in my mind. Sotos on the Scylla should have slightly more damage from I'm a Monster, but we're going to have to be a little bit closer to the engagement. I think it's going to be a straight up coin toss on these if they do decide, both teams, to take it in an even state. Shoxy Foxy taking a play from Watwin's book, seeing if maybe he can be annoying on the purple buff, and so far so good. Does not get in range for the Ferocious Roar steal. And Ferocious Roar is an ability you brought up earlier, Gore, and I think it's one that should be highlighted, especially in Season 8. With that 20% auto attack reduction, it's essentially one of the best abilities against the crit hunter meta.
Yeah.
I mean, crit late game for 150, well, you might as well have just gone for the yellow damage build.
Oh, and there's going to be the ult from Ra, though, burning some damage onto Rotwin. Shoxy Foxy not quite going to connect. Beads burned from the Bacchus. It looks like Worst Turtle had a DC, so a little bit of a pause after the skirmish. No blood coming out of that one. But Mifflin, I'm going to take it back a couple of seconds. That's good engage from Snake Hunters, but what you had said, which is looking at it, that 20%, that's just level 1, baby. It goes up to 50%. That's what's insane to me. It levels up so much better. And, like, give me an ability that you're leveling over that, over your Roar on Xingjin. I mean, I guess maybe you're 2, but I don't think the root scales. Maybe? I can't remember if it does. Maybe you're old. But yeah, no, I think you're going to hit level 5 pre-10 on that one, maybe at 10 on that one. So it's definitely going to be pretty big impact, like you said, with the way things are working here in Season 8. It feels bad if you're on her. And I wouldn't be surprised with this like becoming quote-unquote more common knowledge. Maybe it's just something I didn't realize and didn't think about. I'm not going to be theory crafting. That's what the pros do. I get to watch them and speculate off of that. Maybe I should be theory crafting, actually, now that I said that out loud. Either way, it's going to be a little more interesting to watch, as I think this is going to be a support pick alongside the Ymirs and the Sobeks that is probably just going to skyrocket up to the top. We'll have to see if it can get things done for the team. His ult, Shoxy Foxy, just a little, not even off the mark, forces the beads from Botwin. And other than that, we haven't seen a lot of lockdown from the Snake Hunters just yet. And you had mentioned it, Rapio now level 8. I mean, starting to get those levels under the Athena. Do we expect to start seeing him a little soon?
Legitimately, Rapio is going to be a much better late game pick than Worst Turtle will be on this Ratatasker. I think it's up to Worst Turtle to establish the pace. If the Ratatasker sits in the jungle and continues farming, there's no reason for Rapio to get involved. His team's doing just fine. I mean, Kha'Zix in solo has established pressure. Inside mid, they've been able to trade waves pretty well. It is a slight level deficit for Pretty Prime. Level 8 to Sotos' 9. But duo lane got first blood. I think Rapio is just fine to continue his pace in the jungle. They just continue farming, get some tankiness under your belt, and it looks like that's exactly where he's going. Sona Binding already picked up. Should be a very good facilitator for his team. And then look for these opportunities with the ult.
Now Toddy's the one who's in danger. Rapio's come over there. The taunt's going to be able to
nice
get a little bit of damage out, but the ult was used and the impale to peel. The Coast doesn't see it, but there's a whole lot of backup on the way here for just F6. Coast going to get stunned out here alongside Rapio. Intoxicate used to get some of the burst damage, and Coast has it all turned around. Sotos gets some damage onto Rapio. Into the sky goes Ratatasker. Knock-up going to be good. Shoxy Foxy way in the back line gets the kill onto Toddy. Finds what his team was looking for, but it costs them 2 in the process. They burn a whole lot of ults, but Snake Hunters still end up dropping the fight.
Yeah, Rapio just a little bit too early on the Confound there. Uses it into Toddy GR's own ultimate. CC immune means he just keeps walking away, and the damage output not quite there yet for the Athena. That's what I was saying. You don't need to be the one forcing the issue on the side of the Snake Hunters, because Just F6 really has a stronger early game through and through, but Snake Hunters still try and get involved, and much to their chagrin have lost their gold lead for it. Now only about 100 gold in the lead is the Order side team, but as of now, it's whether or not Just F6 can utilize where they've made up that deficit. Worst Turtle's got a level lead, and he is one of the best pace setters in the game on this Ratatasker. Might as well keep that up. Let's see him get involved. I want to see if he can get proactive and look for a non-reactive gank.
Well, Gold Fury is just sitting there waiting for somebody to be able to rotate over. Again, both mid laners, I think, have good secure on it, so maybe something to be trepidatious about. Just F6, proactive, I guess is the better way. I mean, reactive in that fight and the way that they collapse in, but they do get a lot done in the process. So I'm excited to continue watching them. Again, this is a team, if I remember looking at it correctly, maybe they were just off the mark, but I believe it was only a single game won so far here in this first phase of the SCC. So they've made a couple of changes, right? Worst Turtle coming in for the jungle as opposed to Roulat, who was there before. Has definitely been a positive impact Unfortunately for the team, still not able to quite find that win just yet. Which is great news if you're a Snake Hunters fan. It means that things are more likely heavily favored for you. But so far, the way this game is going, it's going to take a little longer for either team to pull ahead. Snake Hunters managed to amass a little more than that 100 you had just highlighted, but it's still slow roll-ins for them as far as pulling ahead as much as they can. I anticipate a big fight, potentially over here on Duo, that could lead to a Fury. Shoxy Foxy impaled against the wall. Rotwin's here, Worst Turtle's here. I don't know if this is the fight you want to take, and it seems like Snake Hunters think the same thing.
Yeah, 4 people from Just F6 hovering this left-hand side. As you already highlighted, Gold Fury is up and available, but neither team can feel confident moving in towards it. As I highlighted or talked about earlier, Ra has more range, but maybe a little bit less damage from that ultimate. Instead, though, we see the Snake Hunters go ahead and spawn up another neutral objective. Fire Giant Scorpion has fallen, so we're going to have the Portal Demon, or now the Pyro Demon, coming up very soon. I think, if anything, we're going to see Just F6 make the aggressive play. Tati GR uses the ultimate for CC immunity and almost turns it around on a Vaporish Coast. It's been constant aggression from the Snake Hunters on the left-hand side of the map, and it hasn't amounted to much. Just F6, though, have been kind of stifled throughout the early, haven't they? They've got this very good early game draft, but they have not been able to use it 11 minutes in. I expect the first fight to really erupt around this Gold Fury, and I really want to see Just F6 the one starting it.
As of right now, it's been, I want to use the term patient, but they just haven't been able to get done what they want to, right? We haven't seen a lot of engages coming from Worst Turtle, but where are they going to where they have a lead, right? That's kind of been the big problem. Pretty Prime's been pretty safe there in mid lane, so nobody's truly worried, I think, on Snake Hunters for the impact so far from the Ratatosker in the jungle. He does have a level lead, or maybe half a level there, picked up just over the Athena. He's got about 300 gold on her as well. Not enough to make a huge difference, but still something to bear in mind. As these Vines are going to spawn back up, Oracle Harpies are around. Coast looks like he wants to fight, but isn't going to be able to confirm those on his own. And now Worst Turtle's lurking around in the jungle. This, if it weren't for the mid camps about to respawn, looks like a gank, but I think they're just hanging out for farm.
Yeah, for now, but this slower pace is only going to assist the Order side team. Their late game team fight is so strong. Beads burning tools from the Confound, as well as the Whirlwind of Rage and Steel. Ra scales incredibly well to these late game elongated fights around objectives with his healing. And now Snake Hunters trying to utilize it to start up the Pyromancer. Lestimics shows a little bit of face, and that's enough to scare them off. Good call from the Snake Hunters. Don't want to take that team fight with the Kakon already in the Rage transformation. Both of these teams, they're spinning their wheels in the early, but only one of them's by design. I think the Snake Hunters are very happy with this pace.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Athena's going to take a little while to get online with only one death there so far for Rapio. It's going to be smooth sailing, I think, from this point forward. That's Stone of Binding, now a tier 2 item just afterwards. Sunder picked up that level 12. So safety and damage. 2 Sunders on the side of Snake Hunters. And now Mifflin, this is something I anticipate, I believe, and this, you know, I believe this was played just before the patch dropped. And so things like Shell still technically prominent, although maybe something that's going to get kind of thrown by the wayside because teams recognize they're not going to be able to have it forever. Sunder has kind of been in the topic of conversation as well. If you can't go, you know, Blink plus Shell, I guess I'll go Blink plus Sunder. And so far, we've been seeing a little bit more of it. Do you think this is going to be a mainstay here, and do you think it's going to help out the Snake Hunters?
I think that one Sunder on a team is always going to find value, right? And it's easy to apply for the Snake Hunters. Rapio, dash forward, Confound, Sunder. Oh, well, now all your defense is gone. Just literally every single piece of it. Stone of Binding going to help out with that as well. It just makes it that much easier to blow up anyone who steps out of position. Normally in the late game, you don't want to taunt a Bacchus. Well, I'm not too concerned about a Bacchus if he's legitimately not a tank. So I think that Sunder is going to have its place in the meta for a good long while.
Coast is always down to go for the auto trades over here, and I admire that, I think, more than anything. Coast, as of course we've highlighted several times, was able to pick up a pentakill. It's one of those things, when you hear us repeat that, I can imagine that it's not something that seems withstanding. I counted today, Mifflin. There's been 11 pentakills in the history of the SPL. That is something worth noting. Rotwin going in for a stun. Rapio going to be the one who's isolated,
Oh.
burned down before he can get anything done. Now the retaliation has to come through. Beads going to get burned.
Good ult.
Prime with a good snipe onto Rotwin, but is it going to be enough for someone to find the kill? So far the answer is no, and the lockdown coming down from Just F6 seems a little bit stronger. The ult coming down from Sodos locks up Pretty Prime. While they don't have the confirm, neither do Snake Hunters. They have the numbers advantage. They start up the Gold Fury. Seems like they're worried. Kha'Zix is looping around. But I don't know what alone Osiris can do in this scenario. Get in, get your kills, get out. Just F6, walk away happy.
They sure do. Just have 6 able to sneak one out there. But the gold deficit has remained largely unchanged. What, 80 gold now in favor of the Chaos team? Snake Hunters are still able to hang in there for the meantime. But this pace is now starting to pick up, isn't it? And it's going to benefit the Chaos team a little bit more so. If they're able to win out these fights a little bit more cleanly, they can start to look towards these neutral objectives. 15 minutes into the game, and it's still largely even, save for experience across the board. 2 levels in mid and in the jungle in favor of the Chaos team. Now's the time to leverage that lead and try and find some sort of advantage on the map.
Time to take action.
Well, so far no one's been able to force anything big outside of those small skirmishes. Good, again, knowledge for him. Well, 2 levels down there for Rapio. You had highlighted it's going to be difficult for this Athena to start feeling really the same way. Like the late game engage team fights, 5-on-5 groupings, that's where they're going to find their strength. The question right now is in finding that. And they're in a good spot, at least getting some damage down here. But as of right now, it seems to, again, just come out to a wash. Snake Hunters, the only person who's engaging on their team, again, consistently has been Coast, and it might be a bad thing here. Going to be able to immune that knock-up, get just into the Bifrost. Good timing. And so he's going to be just fine over here. In fact, he's not going to back. I wouldn't be surprised if he looks for another fight against Toddy soon.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Coast is just an aggressive player, man, but having lost out on the majority of his HP bar, Just F6 trying to make use of this opportunity, start up the Gold Fury. Vines get broken by Snake Hunters, which shows their presence, and that's just enough to scare them off for now. Coast healing up in the back. Look, Just F6, if you want to force this fight, you got to do it now. Vapor's is not going to be low health for long.
They're trying to get aggressive. Gold Fury started up, dropped. And now it's going to be Listimics who's going to get taunted in. Going to be able to disengage from that one, no problem. And his beads are coming off cooldown here in just a second. It's going to be even easier to dodge out a lot of damage like that. Completely vacating the area is just F6, though. That means that Gold Fury could be ripe for the taking. But it's collapsed. Pretty Prime with a little bit of vision over there onto Rotwin, of all people. While Kha'Zix is looking for a zone elsewhere. A lot of damage that's still on the line. Gold Fury started up here with just F6 running away. Going to be about half health for Snake Hunters, trying to control the pit. Kha'Zix going into the back line. There's going to be just F6. Sodos with the I'm a Monster confirms it just before Pretty Prime can, and then they jump back in to try and find the fight on the back end. Shoxy Foxy goes into the ult, spins people around, looks for the damage as well, but it's going to be Lestimics who trades out their life. Can they find any more? Kha'Zix low and surrounded, finds the trade out 1-for-1, but just F6 get the Fury.
They get the Fury, and now, like bandits in the night, are able to make out 1-for-1 trade, but objective. The biggest takeaway here, Vaporish Coast. It's Coast, man. He's still undeterred. Doesn't care that there are 4 members of Just F6 just behind that corner. He's going to be able to steal away a purple buff for his team. Now, finally, we're starting to see some separation in the charts. 1,500 experience and about 1,000 gold in favor of the Chaos team. 18 minutes, though. That does not mean much, but removing one neutral objective from the map this late into the game means that Just F6, if they want to, can dedicate all of their time over to the right-hand side, show full numbers, have 5 people rotate, and look at this Pyromancer could force another team fight.
Now they're already in a position. They're going for the Greatest Scorpion, but like you said, Pyromancer seems like a pretty easy serve to their team at this point. It looks like the aggression might shift that way. Nah, we're going to see Worst Turtle back off a little bit. It's Ward Vision right now that they're trying to gain. Sodos waiting for that ult to come back up. And Rapio, I mean, look, at the beginning of the season, we saw a lot of this Athena, and like in terms of bans, we were seeing her solo, we were seeing her jungle primarily, sometimes even over there in support where it feels like she belongs. And it is a good reminder that I believe she got a couple of nerfs at 7-4. And so it is something, well, not even like nerfs, kind of like a shift, right? Like a little bit taken away from her aggression, but not transmogrified? What am I trying to say here? Moved over to somewhere else. Transferred, there's the right word. And so that power has definitely scaled somewhere else, but is that going to help her, hinder her? Like, her jungle doesn't feel as strong the last couple of times I've seen it.
I think it's just the Bumba's hammer nerfs hurt her a lot too as well. Just like itemization changes have made her a little bit weaker in the jungle, but still I'd say one of the best gods in the game right now just because of her engage factor come late game. I would prefer to see Rapio go a little bit tankier with the build instead of going for this much more aggressive style with Spear of Desolation. Now he's starting to pick up some utility with Wingblade. But once he gets some defense online, once you're able to be that constant initiator in the late game team fight, it's so annoying to deal with an Athena who's constantly dashing forward, taunting, walking back to your team, and then rinse, repeat. But it is the Snake Hunters starting up the Pyromancer. Slow rotation from just F6 should confirm it for the Order side team, but Rapio in some trouble.
It's an easy ult for Pretty Prime. Rapio able to disengage on that one. Has to use the beads though, Mifflin. That is going to end up hurting them. Shoxy Foxy looking to try and pull something back. Blink Shell are the relics here. It doesn't seem like Shoxy's going to jump under the tower just yet. They get themselves a Pyromancer. They pull back some of the deficit. Still a small lead here for Just F6, but is that enough? At this point, I mean, Just F6, 21 minutes, this feels kind of like the pivot point for this game and where maybe it's going to start falling out of their favor. And, of course, I asked that immediately. Shoxy Foxy goes in. Worst Turtle comes around the back line. Vaporish Ghost in trouble, but that egg is going to be good. But he gets displaced out of the Bifrost. That's not going to help him out at all. It's going to be a dunk from Worst Turtle to find a kill onto the Hunter for Snake Hunters. It seems like that might be the disengage, but the taunt comes through. Snake Hunters want more, Mifflin.
They do. They lose out on their Huns here, but look how low Just F6 is. They should be able to take out this tower pretty easily. And Coast only dies there because he's doing Coast things. He's legitimately sitting on the tower line, furthest forward on his team, poking out the opposition, and he puts out a ton of damage before he does eventually fall. Almost dropped the kill. Did Just F6. Toddy GR uses the Impale while Aegis was still available to Coast. Knocks him out of the Crush. Does also knock him out of the Bifrost, though. Just forces the Ratatasker to dedicate his own ultimate to confirm that kill. So far, though, Snake Hunters, they're down in gold, they're down in experience, but it doesn't feel like they know it, does it, Gore? It feels like they think they're still in the lead. It's still been proactive plays from them, starting Pyromancer, grouping up around gold, forcing Tier 1 towers. It's just been constant aggression despite the state of the game.
Not just going to go belly up because they're a couple hundred gold down, right? So they're playing it well. I guess, 1,500 gold down. Either way, in a good position. A Primal Fury going to be spawning here in just a few seconds. This is something that, again, it's always the interesting part. It's something I don't think we talk about a whole ton because there's not really a solid reason to dive into it, but the randomization of the Furies, and specifically this one being a Primal Fury as opposed to something like an Oni Fury, is definitely going to make things interesting for Just F6, whether or not they want to get aggressive into it. It's already been burned down 2/3 of the way. There's going to be Sotos over the wall. Not this time. Snake Hunters confirmed that one without dropping the ult. So Sotos now reveals his hand. Recognize that. There's maybe a play missing from Just F6. Snake Hunters get out of there. They're probably going to lose a tower here, but they get the objective.
They do, but now what are they going to do with it? Are they going to keep moving forward? Gold in pocket is gold that has not been spent just yet, so this is going to be a much more even fight than maybe the numbers are indicating. Just F6 playing cautiously. Worst Turtle split pushing mid. They don't want to take the fight 4 versus 5 on a Tier 2 tower. Instead, strip away some buffs, get stronger, and see if maybe they can find a pick. Rapio is pretty far forward here, and Ra ult not quite on the mark. Snake Hunters just lost out on a fantastic team fight tool, but Just F6 aren't going to bite off more they could chew. Instead, playing it very slow, seeing if maybe they can catch anyone out.
Well, the good news for Snake Hunters is the fact that Pretty Prime's ult's going to come out around the same time that Sotos does. This Tier 1 and mid's being pressured out. Speaking of pressured out, Rapio forced to fall back. Level 20 now is the Athena. That Tier 1 tower and mid's going to get taken down. Pyromancer's not available. Just F6 are running towards the FG pit. But it looks like it's just a retreat. Maybe try to set up, get some vision, get in a position for a fight. Yeah, they're falling back. I was wondering if they were going to try to commit to something. Maybe it wasn't advisable. They're just going for the buffs that are on the other side. Now, recognizing this, Snake Hunters walk in. Now they're trying to force the fight. Rotwin is isolated. There's going to be DPS from Coast onto the FG, so they're looking to burn it down this time around, Mifflin. They're in a pretty good spot to do so with this zone, but no, they're going to drop it for the fight. It's going to be a taunt. It's going to be Worst Turtle's life. He's one hit away. Rapio able to confirm it before he gets up onto the branch of Yggdrasil. Seems like that might be the call back, but no, Shoxy's going to go in for more. Forces the beads from Rotwin, and they just want to continue fighting. At this point, though, it's just a brawl from the frontliners.
Yeah, Snake Hunter's starting to surge forward, and they're not going for the Fire Giant in the back. Finally, Rapio gets in, and 3-man taunt to change the face of this fight. Sotos, though, damage too good.
Just such a big amount of pull. And like you said, late game team fight, the 5v5, Rapio burned down in the blink of an eye, though. So you get a lot of bang for your buck, but you have that one taunt to be able to go off of. Fire Giant, once again, going to get started up. No Worst Turtle, no Rapio. It's going to be same for both teams. No Jungler, except a couple of members too far back. No Toddy, no Rotwin just yet. It's going to be Lestimics isolated, alone, locked down, but it's still a solo laner, so he's not having too much trouble shrugging off the damage. Same thing here
Good
for Rotwin
Lord.
on the other side, although that crit definitely doing some chunks. Coast, one of the biggest threats on this team, as we've seen in the late game team fights. Difficult to get to, and even more difficult to actually out-trade and find a kill for. Fire Giant not going to go down, but Pyromancer will go in favor of Snake Hunters. Now Just F6 are the ones who are looking to get aggressive, but again, I just don't know that they're going to be able to close the gap.
Rotwin finds a stun on a Kha'Zix and sets up for the crush combo from Sotos. That's about 50% of his HP bar and the entirety of the engagement. Just F6 playing very cautiously now, but they do have an opportunity to start moving their way forward. Worst Turtle has shown a propensity to not really enjoy team fighting, instead has been stripping away buffs or maybe even potentially looking for split push on the map. Could utilize that semi-global ultimate to try and maybe put some pressure on the map and then rejoin the fight if he so needs, but Rapio can do the exact same thing with Defender of Olympus. We got a little micro view of what we were talking about earlier there, Gore. Rapio's build, lending itself more so towards that burst potential, is making it very difficult for him to engage these fights. Dash in, find a triple taunt, and then immediately lose your life. That's not how you want those engagements to go. Normally, when you get hard CC onto 3 people with no CC immunity, it should be able to lean in your favor. But Rapio rounds the build with Palinamicon, gets, again, more burst, but is sacrificing that survivability a fair bit. He's going to be very choosy with where he wishes to dash in.
A lot of pressure, I think, on this Athena to now perform to the same standard that we're getting. I mean, 3-1-3 for Worst Turtle isn't necessarily the end-all, be-all of a game, but considering the next best KDAs also on your team was 3-0-4, right? You're doing pretty well. Just F6 have been able to find a lot of control here between this Ratatosker and the Scylla. But Coast is online. Coast has that Wind Demon, that Deathbringer. Same thing there for Toddy. We'll see if these carries are going to make a big difference. Kha'Zix looking for the engage. There's going to be Rapio going in.
Nice
Good
shot.
Two-man ult from Prime. One of those guided, one of those freehand. Either way, it's going to be a lot, but I'm a Monster comes crushing down. Not going to be enough to find the damage. The Aegis going to be help keep Coast alive in the backline. Now up in the sky is going to be Worst Turtle, but it's not going to be in time to help out Sotos. One more hit's going to do it, and that's going to be the first blood of this fight. Sotos burned down, and Rapio finds himself a double. In fact, continues going forward right now. The team looking to get aggressive. Worst Turtle alone and isolated in the backline. Shoxy Foxy just going to be running this one down the old-fashioned way. I don't know if this is a fight you truly want to take as Xing Qin, but it seems like one Shoxy is going to do. Fire Giant started up by Coast and Prime. Mifflin, this feels like it's going to be a pretty free objective.
Yeah, that's a 99%er. Nobody in range for the confirmation. Prime mistimes the ult a little bit, so his boy Vaporous just looks at him as Rapio and Kha'Zix try and zone in the back. Heal comes through just in time. Rotwin dedicates the jump, maybe shouldn't have. Now surrounded by 4 with no escape. That's going to be his life easily. Snake Hunters now 2,000 gold in the lead. Fire Giant on 5 members and 4 free gold caches to pick up. 5 if you count the Gold Fury itself. And it seems like it's going to start off with the tower. 40 seconds left on the support and a handful of seconds left on the soul laner and mid laner. Snake Hunters have free reign of the map.
There's going to be one of those gold pockets you had highlighted, going down. Tier 2 in mid, exposing the Phoenix. Kha'Zix getting a little poke down already. They still don't have Rotwin because of the late stagger kill onto him. Worsturtle jumps into the backline, though, and immediately gone is going to be Vaporish Ghost. But Worsturtle looks to be trading out their life for it. The snipe just off the mark. Rapio as well. The reach not going to be able to connect twice there as he uses all of his abilities to try and get just one hit onto the Ratatosker, but he's going to be able to get in, get blood, get out. And that is maybe a bigger play for Worsturtle than Imagine. Laying a trap, going for the taunt. It's going to be Listimics this time who has the damage done to him. They're going to get something for their trouble, Mifflin, whether or not it's the jungler. And now it is just the burn down. Toddy goes bye-bye. And you had highlighted the Sunder. One used, one still up. And they're grouping up for this mid-Phoenix.
Yeah, Sunder plus taunt is a kill. That's just the truth. That's the strength to confound right there. Oh, you're looking for a gank? Unfortunate you're taunted. Maybe just die. And that's exactly how it goes. Back up again because of the Spear of Desolation. Rotwin taunted as well. Should likely die. Shoxy Foxy picks up that kill. Snake Hunter showing why they were waiting for that late game team fight. It's so hard to deal with this Athena.
30 seconds left before Listimics respawns. More than that for everybody else. This Titan exposed. 3 towers up might take a little bit, but they're going to burn down Sotos like it's nothing. The raw heal comes through. Ult's available. It's going to take them a little bit, Mifflin, but Snake Hunters, they take game number 1.
Rapio, slow start to this one, wasn't it, Gore? But the second he got his feet under him, when it rains, it pours. That last team fight was 4 taunts into 4 separate kills to completely open up that match. I thought we were going to see it go a little bit longer, maybe strip away a couple more Phoenixes, but when you're rolling like that, might as well just kill the Titan as well.
And it feels good. They had a late game comp. It goes late game, they win because of their comp. Everything that they wanted to, planned out, executed perfectly. We'll have to see what Snake Hunters does to adjust to this in game number 2. That's going to be right after this.
I'm working up a bit.
On my own, no fixer. I'm gon' ball, no picker. That I ate those, they live for. Talking on my back, go figure. Whole team eats fun spitter. Never was the one to go flicker. No face, no case, no pictures. For place, big stakes, my dinner. Flip that. Canal Street. Flip back. Last week. Old money. This week. New racks. Never buy 9 more. If I can't afford to gift wrap. Stunning in your foreign car. You keep riding rental tax. Heard you roll the other lane, we are not the same. Couple thousand in my pocket, this pocket chip. Rubber bands on my arm, this is not for play. I put 20 on the crib while you cop a chain. I know they hated or love it. You know I love when they hate it. Last year was living basic. Haters on the other side. 3 up, read between the lines. Know I got some mainers with me. Made it through some evil time. Late night on some demon time. Pour the Sprite, I need a line. I can't lock it, sweet line. Freeze time. Brainstorm, you can assume with your chains on. I can see none with the lights off. Cap, you been the main one. Coolin' when I got my mains on. Show money, but those aren't the same ones. I been told you that it was game on. Been winning since I was on game 1. Go. Telling me how to live like you made me. Go dumb and I blame you made me. Money longer than a grown-up baby. Step crazy in a new Mercedes. Thinking that's 550. 5 seats, 50 kids in there. Prime steak on my dinner plate. Nike tag for the dinner wear. Flex up, never playing dress up. Never gonna let up. Never ever set up. Play on my fam, get wet up. Go, won't let up. Never ever. Haters on the other side. 3 up, read between the lines. Know I got some mainers with me. Made it through some evil time. Late night on some demon time. Pour the Sprite, I need a line. I can't lock it, see the line. Freeze time.
I don't know if I'm okay. I don't see the light of day. Looking up to higher ground, thinking that'll be your sweet escape. These days gotta schedule the romance. They say that love is a slow dance. A short bike ride to the crib using no hands. Oh, did it feel like I'm floating? But I'm falling with both eyes closed when I let the world spin. Testing the water, she got my nerves tense. Back when I ain't even have a purpose, I was so eager to learn some things. Anxiety bring out the worst in me. Society paint me as enemy. My making it buy off that remedy. I'm more occasional, don't do it regularly. Bags under my eyes, weighing down heavily. Mama been worried, the devil allegedly deep in the plan. Subconsciously wanted it since I was 10. I thought I was sharp on my scroll and my pen think it did. So mama found she to them legs. She told me that's not who I am. But nowadays I put on for the fam, see it when I can. I'm surrounded by my feelings, I'm stuck on a Ferris wheel. I bet I perish at 140 acres. She want the horse and the carriage, a porcelain portion of garbage. I talk to the mirror, I know that life's not the fairest. I lost my can, I can't pay off the bills with the blessing. Not sure I relate to the Reddit page. It's feeling like money is everything. Money is everything. It's everything I need.
It's an unfortunate trend, but it feels like a trend nonetheless with this Just F6 team where they're getting the kills, they're competing, they're in these games, and then just by the end of it sort of slips away from them. Felt like the Snake Hunters draft by the end there, the Athena, maybe just a little bit too consistent on the engage. It was just so hard aggro for this Just F6 team to kind of compete in those mid to late game fights.
Yeah, it's exactly what this composition is designed to do. We're just going to pull in frontliner after frontliner, and we're going to kill that one, and then we're going to kill that one, and then we're going to kill that one, and then the game gets really simplified and easy from that position. Just F6 did a really good job on the initial Phoenix siege. They killed Coast right off the bat, and you're thinking, all right, great, their Hunter's dead. That's going to end that. And then a nice little trap was set by the Snake Hunters, where they just sat in the jungle. It was a taunt from Rapio, kill Astemix. Then a taunt from Rapio, we kill Toddy. I think that the letting Athena through experiment probably complete at this point, Dave. I don't envision Snake Hunters getting it again.
I agree. It was, I believe, a Sun Wukong ban that came through for Just F6 instead of the Athena. I guess you could argue any of the three first bans instead of the Athena. But yeah, by the end of it, Rapio was just too consistent. 1 and 2 to start off this game, so it looked like the Athena was going to get held in check. And then, if you feel like you've seen that replay before, you have, because it was the same thing effectively every single time. Another taunt sets up this fight, and then the rest of the kills come through. Pretty Prime right there with those Searing Pains. So that was a big swap that this team had made aggro coming into this matchup. Pretty Prime in the mid lane instead of Gunter, who had been playing this team for a while. At 1-1-9, it's not the flashiest, but the ability to follow up on that setup is important, and Pretty Prime was able to get it done.
Yeah, interested in if that's just a sub for today or if that's a more permanent thing. I guess we'll get some information on that and relay it to you as we learn. But the Snake Hunters team still does exactly what they've been doing all phase, which is play around their side lanes really well. We talked a lot about Coast in the pregame, and deservedly so, but Kha'Zix over there in the solo has been fantastic as well. And this Osiris pick just continues to have its stock rise in the EU SCC. Deathwalkers made it look really good. Teams have really prioritized it up against the accounting department in particular. And now maybe you have to do it against the Snake Hunters as well, because Kha'Zix looked very comfortable on it.
Yeah, solo lane's seen a good bit of variety. Osiris is absolutely in that category as well. Picks and bans for game number 2. They'll kick off right now, and we'll see where that Athena starts to drift into here. We thought that the experiment of letting Athena through probably has come to a close. I think I tend to agree with you there, Aggro. With Snake Hunters in that first pick spot yet again, be hard-pressed to find a world where if you're Just F6, one of those 3 bans isn't an Athena.
Yeah, I think that you just have to, man. Or, I mean, no, your second pick. No, you gotta ban it. You have to. There's no alternative. I just think that with how well Rapio played it, You've got to do it. And look, I don't have a problem with them letting it through in game 1. I mean, that's the time, it's a best of 3. You could afford to take an L in that spot. Let's experiment. We think we found a way to beat the Athena. We know how to play around it. Whatever. Didn't work out. Okay, now you've got to make the adjustment. And this is where they've got to make it. 1 ban remaining. Okay, it's Athena.
There you go.
I was a little worried there for a second. They had me
again.
sweating. Yeah, exactly. I thought it was going to be a Wukong ban or something, but they decided to ban it. That makes a lot more sense with what they've got going in this draft. And now I don't even know if Snake Hunters would top pick the Wukong. I mean, you're looking at things like Scylla on her that might go their way first.
What happened to Guan Yu, man? He was up there for a while and still in a strong spot, but maybe not as prioritized, at least in this matchup, is something like that Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong, for what it's worth, has taken over games pretty consistently, so maybe no surprise that that one is prioritized a little bit here. On her first pick, normally followed up by a Heimdall second pick, but this time it's going to be the Chernobog aggro. Maybe a little bit of tank shred / global presence is what Just F6 need.
I mean, they just saw how potent that Athena ult was in the last game, so they think, why not get something like that for ourselves? That on her Heim matchup is one that is volatile. I mean, if Heim starts falling behind, then it can be very difficult for him. You basically have to save your 2 at all times for the Impale, or else you're never going to be able to get through the Bifrost. Going with the Chernobog provides a little bit more safety, but also a lot less lane threat. I think that Coast might be able to just gun it down that duo lane, especially with a Ymir next to him, and really dominate that side of the match.
I mean, man, Snake Hunters have, I would argue, gotten the ideal top 3 here between an Anhur, a Ymir, and a Scylla. That's what a lot of teams are starting to look towards. You are going to take a lump maybe over in the solo lane. King Arthur has been maybe the most popular pick over the last couple of weeks. His ability to kind of run down lanes, near second to none here in this game. So Snake Hunters, while thrilled with the top 3 that they've drafted, they've got an Arthur and a Giannis, 2 picks aggro that can fight back in pretty effectively.
Yeah, I like the global pressure that the Just F6 already has. I mean, you aren't going to be able to take an outnumbered fight against them. They should be able to even the odds pretty easily or create outnumbered fights in their own favor. Just a matter of being able to convert off of those. And already Snake Hunters have so much CC and so much damage, they've got to find a way to avoid those sorts of confrontations while taking ones that suit their global ultimates.
Well, Fenrir then to round out the top 4 for Just F6. Kokol and Osiris both banned out. Jungle presence from Snake Hunter and their last 2, the Ratatosker and the Wheelix respectively. Serket will be the jungle pick here, presumably for the Snake Hunter. Serket started to see this rise in play. We know Lasbra in the SPL level loves this pick, has made it look pretty good. And in a world where Sun Wukong was in the first phase of bans for Just F6 instead of the Athena in game number 1, falls down to 9th pick here in game 2. Seems like the Snake Hunters got what they were looking for.
Yeah, they get it eventually. I mean, the Kukulkan and the Osiris bans, I mean, Kha'Zix does enough work on the Osiris to warrant the ban this time around. And Wukong versus Arthur is one of those matchups, again, kind of like a lot of these side lane matchups where you're going double Bluestone the vast majority of the time, and it can get pretty sketchy for both sides pretty early on. So one mistake will cost you a first blood, and then once you get first blooded in these lanes, it feels nearly impossible to come back because these warriors both snowball those leads very well.
I do. What do you think about the Fenrir pick here for Just F6? I mean, we've seen this pick at the SPA level start to snowball some of that early game. Does it have the ability to do so here?
It always does, but it doesn't have that many super positive matchups here because everyone on Snake Hunters has a way to get you off of them with the Brutalize, save for the Wukong. You know, it's a leap. You've got a freeze from Ymir. I guess Wukong can actually 72 transformations you, so if you want to count that, that works. It's got to be consistent jump stuns that have got to land. That stun 1 has got to connect here for Just F6 if they want to win.
Yeah, they need to win this game in order to force us on to a game 3. Snake Hunters, Just F6, game 2, right now.
Thanks so much, Dave and Aggro. Once again, killing it there on the desk. Miff and Gore down here on the cast with Doug as the eyes and ears. There's not multiple Dougs. Well, technically there are multiple Dougs, but okay, let's back into it. Eyes and ears for this game. That's all that matters as we're moving forward. There's only one true Doug, and that is the person who is controlling our camera for today. This seems a lot better for Snake Hunters, Mifflin, just from top to bottom. Look, I mean, you got the 2012 kill lane there, and Ymir on her. Pretty Prime gets from one really, good objective confirming ult to a much safer pick with a very good objective confirming ult. And Rapio seems like they're going to be able to get their hands on this game a little bit sooner on a Serket.
Yeah, I think that Snake Hunters are trying to expedite the pace a little bit here, but that's not to say that Just F6 don't come away with an incredibly strong draft themselves. King Arthur is one of the top picks out of solo lane right now. Worst Turtle going to be able to get pretty aggressive on a Camazotz and have that added layer of safety of being able to remove yourself from the playfield with that Bat out of Hell. Sodos bringing that global presence to his entire team, and then Rotwin is on a pick that has hit a resurgence as well. Global presence also matched up by Todi GR. It's almost a reversal of what we saw in Game 1, where I think that Snake Hunters aren't going to scale in a mid-game as poorly as Just F6 did in Game 1, but they do have such a significant advantage throughout the early that I want to see them setting the pace. I want to see them going out of their way to find aggression, whereas Just F6, I think, can rest on their laurels a little bit. Sure, Worst Turtle is going to be incredibly strong throughout the early, as will Rotwin, but they don't have to play around it. Maybe around level 10, Rotwin needs to start getting involved before everyone on the side of Snake Hunters will be able to pick up beads, because for now, Ragnarok has 3 prime targets. Shoxy, Foxy, Rapio, and Kha'Zix pick up an aggressive relic in their first slot.
Definitely seems like a very easy set of targets, especially in the duo lane. I mean, Shoxy Foxy is just waiting there for you. Right now, it's going to be Serket. The taunt comes through. The stun from the Wukong. I mean, just in an instance. Good luck trying to play the game, Lestimix. Locked down for the duration of the gank. That's going to be a quick early first blood over to Rapio. And that's dangerous territory, Mifflin. I mean, Serket, we already mentioned, is going to be able to get her hand on the game a lot sooner than what we expected out of specifically the Athena. But until Rotwin starts rotating over, it doesn't feel like the same control engage, at least, exists for Just F6.
No, Rotwin needs to get back to base now to finish off those boots. Elects to skip a starter item and instead picks up the reinforced Greaves here, so should be able to make his stamp known on the map. Has decent survivability and the ability to stick to anyone he needs to with that Brutalize, but so far, duo lanes been going the same way as it did in Game 1. Snake Hunters are establishing dominance through sheer force of will. Vaporish Coast sits on the tower line and just lands more auto attacks. Kha'Zix now trying to leverage the lead he was given inside the soul lane, but should play safely. Worst Turtle's there for the blue buff.
Looks like, well, he's going to give him some trouble on the side of Snake Hunters. Rotwin is jumping around. Toddy's a little under half health. That purple buff going to go unpicked up for now. Experience stripped away there by Snake Hunters. Toddy is in the awkward and unfortunate position. This is always the upsides, downsides of an assassin support. You can get very aggressive very quickly. There's not a lot of help on your side, though, to make sure that you can stay aggressive throughout the duration of the fight. So Shoxy and Coast going to back off towards their purple, but Rotwin's looking for blood right now.
Yeah, I think I saw Shoxy drop the wall and then immediately juke to force Rotwin to jump over it. That is a big brain play for Shoxy Foxy. I like those little micro, just mind games that you're able to play. Rotwin now going to be second guessing himself.
Wow, hello!
Pretty prime, yeah. Rest in peace, Sotos. That's the combo, man. Rapio ultimate immediately into I'm a Monster just to lock him down. So easy to perform on. And Snake Hunters, 3 minutes in, already 2 kills. It's a much faster pace.
Well, and something you had mentioned that I think was a very prominent pick there for Rotwin, the lack of beads there on Snake Hunters. I was going to mention that, but Sotos had beads, just did not react in time to try and escape that one. I don't know if there is any escaping that one, but that opens up Rotwin, Worst Turtle, Astimix have the same problem here. Rapio, if that ult is ever up, I expect to see that kind of combination going through. Right now, it's going to be a little bit of a taunt over there in the Scorpion Pit. He runs away, doesn't have a lot of mana to engage on this fight with. Kha'Zix going to Ox form back under the Tier 1 tower. At this point, it's all about this blue buff. It has a few seconds before it respawns, so maybe not the biggest threat for Kha'Zix to lose it. But Worst Turtle is going to keep playing it. Look, I've seen more backs canceled by these teams in this set than I feel like we've gotten to see in weeks combined of some other players and other teams. It's been very interesting to see how willing they are to slow it down. It's been fun because of the time it buys them. This blue buff now going to be respawning, whereas before I didn't think it was a threat.
Yeah, Rapio, had he just walked to the back of his tower, initially would have been here in time for the blue buff. Now, Worst Turtle gets a look at it, nearly uncontested. Kha'Zix drops the Jinku Bang, but does not get the objective. Ooh. Blue buff goes down, and it goes down easily. Just F6 able to make out of there, but Bat Out of Hell is forced by Shoxy Foxy on a rotation there, but it trades out for his blink. Now Ymir have to play a little bit slower for the next minute or two until that becomes available to him, whereas Rotwin, still level 4, has a Sunder, gonna be a little bit until we see this guy get involved.
A lot of pressure, I think, on these walls to continue being as good as that one just was. I mean, you look at it, like you said, it's blink for ult, not just wall for ult, but if you don't have blink, the wall still persists, and I think that's something that is going to be prominent for Snake Hunter. Shoxy Foxy, this Ymir in general, has been real good for a lot of these players. Now, I'm excited to see it. I like Ymir. That's no surprise. He's my second diamond. He's my favorite support to play. Even when he wasn't meta, he was my favorite support to play. It just felt bad to lose a lot of games on him in the process. And as of right now, it's given a lot of control over here for Snake Hunters. They get the Scorpion, they get the Oracles, so they have some vision over there on the other side. Now it's Rapio who's going to be able to get aggressive. Crush going to be expended for that one. No ults used on the other side. No Pretty Prime. Going to go to the I'm a Monster. Combo it with the freeze. Worst Turtle burned down, but not enough to find the kill. And it looks like Worst Turtle's going to be able to walk out alive. Bat Out of Hell's going to be coming up soon. 2 ults used for Snake Hunters. Not a lot to find for it.
Shouts Rotwin, 6 minutes in, hits level 5, and gets a starter item picked up. So, he can now start to look to get involved a little bit, and he's going to need to. We've missed 6 minutes of having a Fenrir inside this match, and he still has some decent targets. Shoxy Foxy, no ultimate available, means he's got legitimately 0 ways to CC immune Ragnarok for the next 40 or so seconds. Could be a pretty easy target to pick up, especially because Rotwin has Sunder, was used in that last engagement, so it's going to be about a minute until that's available to him yet again. But we need to see this Fenrir get involved. We need to see him find a Ragnarok, or we need to see him buckle down and start farming, because so far we haven't seen either.
Well, we're going to see him just slightly juke out the Sikkim there. So no root coming on the side of Snake Hunters. Could have been a kill, potentially picked up for him, like you said. Fallen behind. Same thing there in the jungle. Just a little bit behind for Worst Turtle right now than what Rapio has been able to do. Mid camp's going to be spawning on both sides. And this is putting us in an interesting position because no team is looking at those. Instead, it's a speed buff steal going to be coming through. Rapio doesn't pick it up, but does manage to swipe it away so that Worst Turtle won't have it. And Rapio doesn't need it because guess what's on the other side of the map? His own speed buff just waiting for him. Good wall from Shoxy. Should just disengage from this fight. But look at this. I mean, just a 6. They're chasing. Rotwin's going pretty deep. You'd highlighted it. Ragnarok, this is like the perfect time to try and grab someone, pull him back to your team. He's just not able to catch up. And they're going to fall back. Nobody there for the follow-up anymore either. So, just like that, it's an easy get in, get out, take the camp, and run away.
Yeah, Rapio walked up slowly and pressed his first ability and somehow was able to strip away that speed buff with legitimately 0 contention. I don't think he took any damage for it. It didn't even look like really Worst Turtle was significantly trying to secure it over him, drop the Vampiric Bats on the initiation onto the buff, so loses out on the majority of his confirmation tools. That's a clean win for the Snake Hunters, and that's a lot of damage onto Isoto's Pretty Prime, hitting his pace so far already. Has the Spear of Desolation available to him, and with Sands of Time available in that starter selection, means that he's got a decent amount of CDR already. Man's going to be swinging. Power spikes are hit. Snake Hunters might as well hit the gas pedal as well and see if maybe they can force an engagement, force an invade, or look towards this Gold Fury.
I think a lot of eyes are falling onto Rotwin. The pressure should be rising. You should feel it in his shoulders because right now this Fenrir is the one that everyone is looking at. There's finally going to be a Ragnarok. Picks up Rapio, pulls him back. No follow-up for this one, though. It looks like he's going to be the one that's locked down. A lot of damage being dealt to it. Rapio's just going to be able to burn that one. Cost the ult. They do get rid of the support/assassin on the other side. And look at this, Mifflin. There's nobody from Just F6 really hanging out over here. They could go for a Gold Fury.
Yeah, I think Snake Hunters can go for just about anything at this point. 3,000 gold up, 9 minutes in. Vaporish Coast jumping in aggressive on the left-hand side, finds Toddy GR, and forces the bead. Also sends him back to base in a body bag. Make that a 4-0 for the Order side team. And go to the Gold Fury, guys. Come on, let's get this pace rolling. Lestimic's trying to do something on the opposite side of the map, but no way he goes for that dive.
Well, why go for a Gold Fury when instead we could take Worst Turtle's speed again? There's going to be the through space and time, though. Rapio now overextended as the collapse comes in from Just F6. Blink going to be used for the disengage. I'm a Monster used for the movement speed. CC immunity combo. And a little bit of clear at that there for Pretty Prime. Stays alive. They do get the speed buff. But is it worth dropping Rapio? As well as the fact that they don't get what could have been, at least feels like, from both you and me, a pretty free Gold Fury at that. Pyromancer now being picked up on the other side, Just F6.
Oh my God.
I mean, they're not out of it just yet, but they're still a little behind.
Pyromancer should be able to close up that gap even more. What was 4,000 just a moment ago cut down in half to 2,000. And Snake Hunters would rather die between the towers, would rather go for speed buff invades than just go for the Gold Fury. Kind of toxic, I'd say. Kind of like they're sending a message to Just F6.
You can literally slice what you said. Like, go for the gold was in the sentence there. That's like the thing you say to Olympians, dude. Like, it makes sense that that's the kind of thing you'd probably want to focus on.
Yeah, but no. Instead, we go for the orange. I mean, this is shades of gold on the right-hand side and trade out Rapio's life and a different neutral objective, Pyromancer, on the right-hand side as well. Just have 6. Able to hang in there just a little bit longer, but it feels like Snake Hunters are still firmly in control. Magi's Blessing picked up by Shoxy Foxy. Doesn't want to buy beads, not worried about the Ragnarok. It has not come up yet, but still going to get himself a little bit of a safety blanket here and maybe a purple buff for his troubles.
Ooh, walks in. Is able to scoop that one away.
crazy.
Shoxy, what I like is they've been invading so consistently. Shoxy doesn't go to pick it up because the last time he tried to scoop the speed buff up, he had a red buff around his belt, and he couldn't pick it up. And it just feels like they're so certain they're going to be able to confirm it. Coming off cooldown relatively soon. No, just picked up there by Sodos. They're not going to be able to get that one on time. Snake Hunters are really running and dictating the pace of this show, though, right now. They're going to make the call finally for a Gold Fury. Rotwin's in the neighborhood, but look, Rotwin's 2 levels down from this Ymir. Even with that Ragnarok as a threat, Sunder as a threat, seems like it's going to be enough. The follow-up from Just F6, the rotation, the call-outs right now, causing some trouble. And Just F6 are going to start up the Fury. They're looking for the bait.
Lestimix makes the rotation first. Soul Laner here for Just F6. Snake Hunter is going to be a little bit, but nice wall to stop the Ragnarok.
What a great wall to be able to come through. Ult used by Shoxy Foxy. Rotwin now in a bad position. Well, Shoxy Foxy may be in a worse position. Surrounded by 4. Going to go down at some point, but the jukes keep him alive a little bit longer. Damage thrown out there from Pretty Prime, but so far no kills have gone the way of the Snake Hunters. They're looking to lose this one. Vaporish Coast gets some damage, and Kha'Zix is going in. Kha'Zix wants some blood, but that's going to be King Arthur peeling away for it, but it's not going to stop Rapio, who's going to dive deep. Lestimix going to be the next one on the list. 2 for support so far. It looks like Rotwin's back is going to get off just in time to get him out of there. You know what? Let's go ahead, pick up 2, and grab a Gold Fury. At that, Snake Hunters still showing the pace.
Snake Hunter's going to take this one on top of the Oracle Vision, so Just F6 fully privy to what's happening over here on the left-hand side of the map. But you cannot fault Just F6 for trying to find that engagement. They knew they had the numbers advantage. Kha'Zix shows himself on a ward on the right-hand side, just as Lestimix joins the engagement on the left. So it's a full-on gas pedal engagement call from Just F6. Unfortunately, though, Rotwin, who has been struggling mightily so far this game, continues to do so in that team fight and loses out on the entirety of his kit into a Ymir wall. Ragnarok just walking into it, does not find the ultimate. Unchained, not quite on the mark either. Rotwin has not quite been able to find value from this pick as of yet, and his build is not great for it either. Going incredibly slow, 13 minutes in, 14 rather, only just now taking over the 20th stack on his Thieves. This Fenrir is wet paper at this point. I don't think Snake Hunters should really respect him on the map. If he shows up, he's essentially just a kill.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the best spot to be in, especially when you're still stacking Thieves. Going to go for the Ragnarok, forces the beads out there from Coast, but Coast isn't backing off. He's in a 2v1, and he's still fighting, but it's going to be the snipe from Sodos, of all things, that comes ripping through over to the left side, finds the kill. Oh, look, Coast is one of the bravest carries I think I've seen in the SCC, SPL like, combination. Like, I mean, like hardcore levels of I'm going to sit here and fight because I just know I can win this one. Doesn't win that one, but I think it's that belief that he will be able to that keeps him alive. Also, I mean, pretty far ahead compared to where Toddy is. So he's feeling confident. I think they should be. Snake Hunters definitely in the lead. In fact, Worstartle looking to get burned down here. The ult from Rapio gets him low, but it's not going to be enough to find the kill. Rapio forced to retreat before he can find that last little bit of damage. But Kha'Zix is here, Mifflin. I don't think Worstartle should feel safe.
No, he shouldn't. Kha'Zix instead, though, looking at those neutral camps. Did you see the damage output we saw from Rotwin there? That was Unchained, auto attack, Ragnarok, auto attack, and I think it did 5% of Vaporish Coast HP bar. He's got a 5-level lead over Rotwin inside of support, and he's had a 3-level lead over Toddy GR, but losing his life there to the snipe did close up that ADC gap a fair bit. Now, level 14 is Toddy GR the Vicorious Coast's 15 should make it a little bit easier to try and take those 1v1s that Coast is so apt to look for, but still, the matchup is going to favor on her. Wouldn't be too surprised if we see Toddy GR continue to play passively for the near future. As of yet, we have not seen Toddy utilize that global ultimate for pressure on the map, has not used it for a team fight in mid or in solo either. Instead, has just been sitting in his farm, or in his lane farming, maybe waiting for that Wind Demon before he gets involved in these team fights.
Well, now it's the patience game. With the Fury down, Pyromancer jumps to the forefront of my mind as of where the targets should be. 4 towers left standing there on Just F6. 2 tier 1s, 1 dropped over there in the duo lane, 1 in the solo lane as of right now. So a lot of gold still sitting on the map for these teams, Mifflin, especially because there's all towers still standing there for Snake Hunters. 16.5 minutes in here. Rotwin still not level 12, hasn't been able to pick up that second relic just yet. Only the Sunder. And Shoxy Foxy right now is taking a little bit of damage. The jump in from Rotwin, a good freeze, crush, Sick'em combo. It's a little bit of damage thrown back there. But notably, Rotwin doesn't get just absolutely shredded by that. Did finish up the stacks on that Thebes.
Yeah, finally able to get some defense under his belt. Is that a Prid win he's working into as well? Kha'Zix's getting involved in the mid lane, but immediate disengage from Just F6. Deja vu back to game 1. 17 minutes in, we saw the Snake Hunters make a huge rotation towards mid to try and pressure out a tower. They do the same thing, but think differently of it. Instead of going for the tier 1, instead it's the Pyromancer, and Just F6 are not there. Just F6 are not ready to put up a defense, so it goes down easily. On the other hand, Toddy GR at least able to strip away a tier 1.
Glory of Chernobog can hang out over here on the left side. He's looking to push even further, maybe into the tier 2. He's laying in wait, maybe for a trap. Rotwin's in the neighborhood, but it doesn't look like they're going to be doing much. Yeah, Rotwin's back into base. The glory of the Chernobog is the fact that he can just literally jump ship wherever he wants to and wherever he needs to into the middle of a team fight. Although, not like there's been a lot going for Just F6 in terms of team fight and specifically engage as of late. But it's been on the up and ups for him the last couple of times. That Pridwin you had mentioned just now finished there for Rotwin. So maybe slowly but surely becoming a threat. Also picked up a Frenzy. Excited to see how that starts to interact with them. Primal Fury going to be coming up in just a few seconds. Pyromancer down, as was highlighted, is now just a little under, or maybe a little over a 3,000 lead, a little under a 4,000 lead, somewhere in the weird in-between phase. As the pressure is on, I think, Just F6 to start making some shot calls, because otherwise, Snake Hunters, they've kind of been piloting the game and steering the ship the entire time.
They really have been, man, but Just F6 has been struggling to get their feet under them inside of these team fights, around these neutral objectives, even rotations getting outpaced at times as well. And now, again, it's an aggressive play from the Snake Hunters, seeing if maybe they can spot someone out. Toddy GR, privy to it, immediately goes up into the ultimate, loses out on his beads, and 80% of his HP bar, but that should be it. Primal Fury's up, and I feel like the Snake Hunters have done a good enough job of forcing back Just F6. Might as well start it and see if the Chaos team is able to rotate in.
Well, Primal Fury, like you said, start it, see if they can rotate in. Seems like the answer is going to be a very loud, echoing, resounding no. Yeah, there's no way for them to get over there. Sodos goes for the portal. Kha'Zix finds the stun, is immediately looking for aggression onto the mid laner, takes them down to about 2/3 HP. And there's going to be the regroup from the team. Now looking to knock down this tier 1 tower in mid. Snake Hunters getting aggressive. They successfully do so on the tower front. And now a good wall from Shoxy Foxy keeps Worst Turtle slightly engaged. A good leap from Worst Turtle disengages. And unfortunately for Rotwin, he seems to be under the eyes of the Snake Hunters here in the left side jungle, forced to use the Ragnarok, not for an engage, but for the disengage. Running away, the poison ticking. Luckily didn't get that auto off. King Arthur goes up in the air, but that is about all he gets. Listimics dead right in front of our eyes. Tier 2 tower under pressure, but it doesn't matter. It's the rest of the team that's under pressure here. Just F6 loses 2 and the tier 2 in mid. Mid Phoenix exposed, minions on their way, but they're not even waiting for it. Myth and they go in. Rotwin gets melted right before their eyes. Worst Turtle, Sodos, the last 2 standing here. Just F6 trying to defend as best they can, but there's not a whole lot they can do. A slow Phoenix, because of this fact that there's no Fire Giant on their side. There's no minions for them to strip the back door either, and it seems like that's going to be enough to make Snake Hunters call off the engagement, strip the jungle, maybe set up for a Fire Giant.
I can't believe they didn't just walk straight to the Fire Giant. Still 10 seconds left on Listimics, 10 on Rotwin, 10 on Toddy GR. Could have head over there pretty easily, but instead try and strip away the red buff and see if maybe they can catch out Worst Turtle. If they're able to desync this Camazot's death, could make it pretty easy for them to look at subsequent Fire Giant. Blink used defensively to avoid the taunt from Rapio. Bat out of hell, removes you from the playfield, but only prolongs the inevitable. Worst Turtle falls to Kha'Zix, and now dead for 50 seconds. Can't fault the Snake Hunters for taking their time to get to the Fire Giant, because they find a better route.
Well, now the lockdown. Kha'Zix looking to keep Sodos engaged long enough, but not quite able to stop the portals from coming through. Chernobog's up in the air. Toddy could come down at any point. No, he just falls right back where he was. Won't get the engage, won't find any assists in that ult. All for naught. Positioning right now. Fire Giant Pit in control for Snake Hunters. Listimics has eyes on the objective. Pillar's going to come up from on her to help the DPS. Kha'Zix is going to be looking for the zone. And that's going to be looking out pretty well for them. There's going to be the crush to come through. I'm a monster. Sodos just a little early on the through space and time. Not able to steal that one away. And now in a bad position. Not quite going to get locked down. Thanks to portals, is going to be able to run away. How much do Snake Hunters commit to running under it? Tier 2's tower. Now there's the kill. Pretty Prime catches him a little deep. And is going to be able to find the kill on that one. Now it's a 4v5 with Fire Giant on the side of the Snake Hunters.
Man, just F6. I feel like the majority of this game have either been retreating or just trying to buy time or just maneuvering the map in awkward ways, full stop. They have not once so far this match made a proactive play. I have not seen them group up as 5 since that earlier Gold Fury attempt when Listemics was able to out-rotate Kha'Zix. Since then, it's really just been reactive play, and Snake Hunters certainly benefiting from it. Nearly 10,000 gold, Fire Giant as well, and still 2 Tier 2 towers standing between them and the exposed birds of just F6. That is a lot of gold left on the map, and their Phoenix Siege for the Snake Hunters is incredibly strong. Shoxy Foxy can be able to lock off areas of the wall incredibly easily. Pretty Prime's burst potential, if he does find any CC off the back of one of these walls, should be able to put down just about anybody. I mean, we don't have to talk about Vaporish Coast damage, but I will. It's a lot. That's all I'm going to say about it. And then Kha'Zix can just tank a tower nearly indefinitely. Just F6 have tools to keep them out, but with an unorthodox mage like Yen, it's no standard large AoE ultimate. Unstable Vortex, gonna have to dedicate your own body to keep the waves out as well. Sodos is gonna struggle to find value on this pick in the defensive phase. I think if anything, it comes down to an all-in from just F6. Listemics has to take someone to Camelot, has to bring them to the Avalon, and it has to be a priority target.
4-1 split right now. Frenzy popped. Rotwin goes in for the Ragnarok, but not going to be able to find anybody just yet. I'm a monster, popped from Pretty Prime, goes for where Rotwin's landing. They find the kill, and then gets portaled just there after. One already down on the other side. Listimics forced to fall back to the fountain. Might not be able to make it. Shoxy trying to do their best to wall him off. Does wall him off from the fountain, but has no follow-up to find the kill this time around. Left side Phoenix goes down. Snake Hunters knock that one out, no problem. And now they're going to fall back a little bit, waiting on Shoxy to group back up. Minions going to be in the middle of the lane right now, so they need their tanks to be able to do this. Good freeze from Shoxy under the mid Phoenix. Now they're getting aggressive. Worst Turtle in the back line, though. Rapio going to jump in, look for the taunt. The fight's split in two, and it looks like Rapio's the one who's hung out to dry. It's just F6 dive deep to find that kill. Sodos now deep in the back line of the Snake Hunters. Look like they're going to get away with murder here. Toddy's one hit away from dead, but gets the back off. Worst Turtle going to dive under that tier 2. They lose the left Phoenix, but Snake Hunters, or sorry, just F6, I should say, managed to successfully defend their mid Phoenix. How long can they keep it up? Vaporish Coast wants to keep fighting, so does the rest of the Snake Hunters.
Okay, just F6, maybe biting off a little bit more than you could chew. Shouldn't have stepped so far forward. Vaporish Coast sets up the kill onto the Yanis and also picks up the kill onto Listemics. That is a sheesh situation if I have ever seen one. Shoxy Foxy been doing what he's been doing for the last 3 minutes, and that is taunting and clap spamming inside the base of just F6. Now, Phoenix exposed, should fall down pretty easy.
Oh, and they've got those minions alongside them too. Shoxy Foxy going for the ult. Gonna get a little bit of damage down onto the opposing members of just F6. That fountain healing is going to come in handy here to try and keep him alive. Is it going to be enough to turn this around? Shoxy Foxy's relatively low. They're looking for the damage, but who am I kidding? Vaporish Coast exists on the map. They're actually ignoring the Titan, actively ignoring the Titan right now to kill Toddy just outside of the wall, turning the DPS around. Worst Turtle blinks out of the fountain. That might be your final doom. It's making the Titan last longer, but they want the kill. Prime just off the mark with I'm a Monster. Snake Hunters into the second game. A lot more convincing than game number 1.
That felt like a mercy kill on the Titan, didn't it? All right, fine.
Really? That lasted long for a mercy kill.
Well, yeah, a mercy kill, but we saved it. You know, one guy made it out of their life.
Mercy kill, but we stepped on the bullet wound and the knife wound for a little bit, twisted around inside so you could feel it before we did the mercy part.
Shoxy Foxy doing his best wrong you impression as well. Just taunt spamming, clap spamming, laugh spamming, doing whatever he can to be annoying that entire time. Hey, congratulations to the winners, guys, but be a little bit nicer to your opposition in the future, baby.
Hey, don't give me that. Be rude. I like it. It's fun. It creates a dynamic for us, a storyline that we can start to pick apart and start telling here. A fun one to start the day off here. Of course, we're going to go to a quick break. We'll be back with the desk right after this.
I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. Too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. Too easy. It's too easy. I've been there, done it, seen it. Boy, all that like Keenan. Still got crack, they fiendin'. Flow still hot like Phoenix. Shine so bright, I'm gleaming. This off top, I'm tweaking. Fresh out the rat like Neiman. And I'm still trying to fight my demons. Cause we all gotta act like Tina. That's why I gotta ride with the Nina. Outside, it's a war going on. Make me put my hands on my head like the Macarena. They want you walking on board like chemo. And give an F to you like John Cena. Putting blood on the brand new Beamer. Trying to earn 8 stripes like Adidas. You get cold when you ride with the heater. It'll turn you to a dog like a keto. And expose to a cat like a cheetah. They smoke my partner like reefer. Dímelo porque o no entiendo. Mi gente must really need Jesus. They shed real blood. I never seen the crypt and I believe it. It's too easy. Too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. It's too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. It's too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. It's too easy. It's too easy. I've been there, done it, seen it. Y'all just talk, don't live it. And just took that route, that seen it. I'm so outspoken like Reason. Jimmy Neutron, boy, Young G's. And I'm a self-made man out of Sweden. And it's still off top, I'm tweaking. But I still gotta fight my demons. I ain't no good, I'm evil. I ain't been clean since Eden. It's a war going on outside. Make you put your hands on your head like the Macarena. That's why I gotta watch my demeanor. You know they locking up blacks and Latinos. It's the same old game, ain't nothing really changed but the mileage on the meter of the Beamer. You get cold when you ride with the heater. It'll turn you to a dog like a keto. And expose to a cat like a cheetah. They smoke my partner like reefer. Dímelo porque o no entiendo. Mi gente must really need Jesus. They shed real blood. I never seen the crypt and I believe it. It's too easy. Too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. It's too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. It's too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy. It's too easy. I can do this with my eyes closed. I can do this with my eyes closed. How you gon' lie when you look me in my eyes and you show me your facade? Show me your facade. How you gon' lie when you look me in my eyes?
I think that's the convincing performance that this Snake Hunters team needed to feel a little bit more confident moving into the last couple of weeks of the SCC over here in EU. And Aggro, look, you raised some concerns around this Fenrir, the ability for it to not get kind of countered out by a few of the picks that the Snake Hunters had. It was tough, I think, for Fenrir to find the value and the engages that it was looking for this game, and Snake Hunters just kind of run away with it.
Yeah, you said it. Convincing is definitely right. I mean, they got off to a hot start. I mean, just 9 minutes in, they're up 2,500 gold at this point in this highlight. Rapio was all over the map, was able to impact just about every lane. Coast was doing what he loves to do, which is play aggressively, be willing to jump in at any given point. And
yeah.
Prime was looking solid, Kha'Zix again, and Shoxi was excellent with the walls. So, the whole team performance, Snake Hunters just came out and were the better team today. This Just F6 team still looking for the way that they want to be playing these engagements and the way that they want to be picking and banning, because I think today they tried a few things. That didn't work. That's okay with where they are in this phase. You know, they know they can't make top 2. So right now it's just about experimenting and improving in order to qualify for phase 2. So I've got no problem with what they showed us today, but certainly impressed with what the Snake Hunters brought.
Obviously, we'll keep our ears to the ground on Pretty Prime, see what his status is with the Snake Hunters roster moving forward. If nothing else, we'll get confirmation next week, see where Pretty Prime stands. Looked good today, though, for this team. Porsche Coast continues his tear for the Snake Hunters team, but this is a full-on T performance. Only Rapio dying more than once. Pretty Prime and Kha'Zix both down in the 0 death column. So I think your kind of synopsis there of Just F6 is right. You know, there's no top 2 chance. Let's try to see what we can get going here. Maybe play upset, move ourselves forward, and see about qualifying into Phase 2 of the SCC. But Snake Hunters still with a lot more to play for. 19,000 damage for Kha'Zix will sure get you there. Vaporish Coast there at 19,000 as well. And that's what you pointed out, Agra. These side lanes, the ones that get it done for the Snake Hunters team, the damage numbers were highest in Solo and Hunter in both back-to-back games here. Here are your updated standings through 1 game played this week in the SCC. Snake Hunters have just come back and tied things up in that top 2 spot. The 1 extra loss is important. That's the big tiebreaker here. Everyone chasing Elysium. But Accounting Department and Pandemonium will have a couple of games this week as well. See where these standings end up breaking down after a few more games of play. These remaining SCC games that we will show you on broadcast, and the ones after SPL as well, now showing on your screen. So Pandemonium, Elysium, Aggro. That's a chance for Elysium to win that game, and then Pandemonium, they drop down to 4-3 as well. Accounting Department, definitely not a gimme game against the Clay Soldiers. Snake Hunters, they're kind of controlling their destiny here, given their opponents' matchups.
Yeah, they put themselves in a good spot, and that's what they've earned with how well they've played recently. I'm excited to see that Elysium Pandemonium matchup, man. That one should be a lot of fun to watch.
That's right. Well, look, normally we'd show you 2 more SCC games on Thursdays, but instead, why don't we sprinkle a little extra SPL into the mix here over the next few weeks. That sounds pretty good to me. So later on today, Warriors versus Kings, Dragons versus Valkyries. But first, we'll have the SPL waiting room. We're going to take a break. We're going to get that all sorted out. So make sure to stick around. SPL waiting room up next.
I still think about our younger days, how we dreamed about a better life, holding you so close to me, in the backseat of your ride. We fell apart, thought we lost everything, just lost in our memory. And I sure hope you do remember me like I remember. still remember how it used to be. I still think about our younger days, how we dreamed about a better life, holding you so close to me, in the backseat of your ride. We fell apart, thought we lost everything, just lost in our memory. And I sure hope you do remember me like I remember you. Like I remember you.
Hey there, SMITE fans. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but we've had some unforeseen circumstances come up behind the scenes, and unfortunately, due to them, we're going to have to cancel today's broadcast. We'll have more information on where you can find these SPL games. We are going to play them at a later date, but for now, that's going to do it for us here today. Again, very, very sorry about that, but hopefully we'll be able to see you soon. Thanks very much, and we'll see you tomorrow.